Welcome back to Arise Prime Time, where we offer perspectives on the news and talking points of the day. I'm Charles Anyegolu. Now to Angola, where vote counting is just about over and it's looking quite good for the governing MPLA party. The incumbent, João Lourenço's party, leads by just over 51%. The main opposition, UNITA party, has 45%. Unsurprisingly, UNITA believes that not only should it have done better, it should in fact have won. Well, the Electoral Commission says the result is unlikely to change. So the governing MPLA party looks set to extend its almost 50-year-long stint in power. But given the unhappiness with the result and the general discontent in Angola, how difficult are the next 5 years likely to be for President Lourenço? Well, for his analysis of this ballot and the consequences for Angola, I'm joined now in the studio by Professor Tunde Esan, Professor of International Relations with a focus on the history of African elections and democratic developments on the continent. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. So, victory for the MPLA. But putting it in perspective, this is the worst results they've had since Angola's first election in 1992, losing important seats such as the capital Luanda. And that means that João Lourenço, the president, even lost in the place where he voted. How significant is that?
Thank you very much, Charles. It's very important to note the development in Angola, and it's significant not just for Angolans but for the entire Africa. Like you rightly said, between 2002 and now, the lead between the MPLA and UNITA has been narrowed significantly, and what I see there is the rise of the new class, the millennium. If you look at Angola, you have about 60% of the population under the age of 25, and the increasing marginalization of this set of people, young, active, about 50% of them are unemployed. And looking at it, it might look as if, oh, the UNITA and others, that's the National Union for the Total Life Independence of Angola, has not done well. No, they have done significantly well. In 2008, the gap was about 81% in 2008. And in 2012, it narrowed down to about 71%. The difference between MPLA and UNITA. In 2017, it went down to 61%. And now, as of yesterday, based on the result released by the Electoral Commission of Angola, CNA, and the MPLA has, I think, has 51%. Yeah,
51% as opposed to 45%.
44.5% of UNITA. So when you look at it, the increasing divide that that we witnessed in the past seems to be, we seems to be having a consensus by the younger generation.
But it's interesting, though, that the big news is that there were a lot of abstentions. I understand that more than half of eligible Angolans didn't go to the polls at all. Is that to do with discontent with the ruling party, but also not having enough trust in the main opposition party to want to vote for them?
Oh, you can look at it in different ways. Like I say, Angola is a very big country. Most people don't know the logistics of voting, the logistics of mobilizing voters is quite huge. It's a nation of 1,246,700 square kilometers. The seventh biggest country in Africa, understand? 7 times the size of Portugal, their colonial power. So sometimes when you look at it, they are far-fetched, issues, and the villages and some of the polling units are far from one another. So when you look at this, sometimes it's, you see the cumulative effect on the outcome of the electoral outcome, and you see some of these factors, much more pronounced in the countryside. But in Luanda, which is the capital, the voters turnout was quite huge, like you rightly said.
Yes, no, absolutely. But given that opposition supporters doubt the accuracy of the results, do you think that UNITA will challenge the outcome of this election?
Yeah, they've said so. The Battle Junior, has said, look, the presidential candidate of National Union of Total Independence of Angola, UNITA, has said, look, whatever the outcome is, they're ready to challenge it. Let's see how it goes. But it's quite significant and important to state that they have really tried.
Right, but if they do challenge the results, knowing what you know about how much grip the MPLA has, is it likely to change the substantive position, which is that the MPLA has won this election and that João Lourenço will get a second term?
Yesterday I was listening to Abel Kububukum, the vice presidential candidate of UNITA, who says, look, at the end of the day, they are looking at it, they are doing their homework, and they said, look, whatever it is, they will come up with the facts to show that whatever result or whatever has been released by the Central Electoral Commission, is not credible. So let's wait. We cannot categorically say that, look, what they are saying is not correct. We cannot dismiss their position. They are on ground in Luanda and in the entire Angola. So let's wait and see exactly how it goes.
But we're also hearing that inside the MPLA, there are deep rifts at all levels of the party, including amongst the army. And people appear to be very concerned that what the MPLA has failed to achieve in this election shows that the party is simply not in touch with the needs of the people, and that it's going to have to change and start delivering on the promises that they've made, otherwise things could go really bad.
Now, let me say this about President João Lourenço. Significantly, whatever you might say about him, he has tried, fighting corruption, President Dos Santos actually anointed him to take over in 2017. And quite unlike what you see in other African countries, he has been a little bit consistent in taking his stand. And to the extent that the family members of the former president actually have not been exempted. But as it were, about 50%, minimum of 50% of Angolans live on less than $1.9 a day. And the discontent and disillusionment just goes down there from the top to the bottom, particularly the lower end of the society. They are very aggrieved. And of course, MPLA supporters are not exempted in the economic downturn to the fact that, look, we have made so much money from oil and we are not seeing the result. Our standard of life, standard of living is not improving, and there are other issues,
So given that, what you just said, and the fact that many people appear to be very unhappy, they're hungry, unemployed, life has become a lot worse, and given that 51% is not a landslide victory, it's not going to be easy for President Lourenço, is it?
If at the end of the day he's declared the winner?
Well, he is pretty much the winner, let's face it.
He's pretty much a winner. When you look at the constitution of Angola, it will be very easy, It's a case of winner takes all. Remember,
governing over the next few years.
It will be pretty easy for him. It's not going to be very difficult. When you look at it, it's almost like winner. You have an election where whoever takes the parliament gets the presidency and the vice presidency. That's number one.
Right.
You understand? It's not really a direct election like that. And secondly, the president has the power to appoint 18 provincial governors, as it were, in a huge country. You understand? What we can say is that the whittling down of MPLA influence from 2002 to 2008 to 2012 to 2017 could be a gradual process towards ending the dominance of that party.
So it's a war of attrition, basically, and it's chipping away at the bloc.
The president might not necessarily be able to, he can find it. Apart from that, remember, the battle the opposition leader.
Right.
You understand? I said, look, whatever the outcome of the election is, he will cooperate with the president.
Okay.
You know, so.
I want to thank you very much indeed. Your analysis is always well appreciated. Professor Tunde Esan is Professor of International Relations with a focus on the history of African elections and democratic developments on the continent. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.